motor oil. Don't waste all your money on those like fancy in-workout drinks. Just go grab some fucking Castrol motor oil. Just lube yourself up. It's not as dangerous as they say. Okay? It's pretty good.
Lube yourself up from the inside out.
Fucking pump. All right, guys.
You guys want to blow up your back? Saw I blow my back up. You want a mass building back workout? Try this. You want bulging lats? You want Tyrannosaurus traps? You guys want lats like Dorian Yates with half the work and half fucking genetics? You want to figure out how to not work hard, get big? This is the shortcut channel.
Oh my God, how heavy is that? I don't even know why I'm training back today because I don't even remember the last time I trained back. So I just figured this is what I should train. Maybe I'll do a little shoulders too. It's crazy, I know. Sometimes you just come in the gym and you don't have a plan. Yeah. But when you're as jacked as I am, it doesn't really matter. Chest, back, maybe some fucking hamstrings. Who knows? No, someone asked me, well, people ask me a lot of shit. A lot of really stupid shit. But a reoccurring thing that gets asked because apparently I said I was going to do it and I never did it. So thanks for the checks and balances, guys. Fucking Christ. It's just that people want me to talk about how I would structure a back workout. But structure a back workout based on what? I don't know. I mean, if we've talked about it in other videos, so it's available for you to watch, but based on the issues you're addressing or what areas you're trying to hit, or if you just want an overall back workout, like you're just a random person who likes to work out and wants their back to get better, you should probably work like multiple angles of your back at multiple, I guess you could say tempos and speeds and shit like that. I'd ideally want to start someone out by like opening their back up like we've talked about before, and then just rocking out of, basically thinking of my back as like we've talked about before, instead of it being like wide open, imagine I'm in a lat spread. I'm opening my lats as far as I can. I want to imagine my back starting here, pinched, and I'm trying to get it to slowly kind of like set open more and then start moving my back. So we've talked about that before. You guys are not paying attention, so.
Do you have like specific exercises?
Of course they do. Of course they do, but at the end of the day, it's like I don't know what you have. And there's not like, it's not like, oh, this exercise is better than this exercise, so you should do that. It might not be for you. Like I can't make videos pretending to be other people. I can only be me, right? Or shit that I see other people doing when they're training. So it's a very like, to ask someone in the fitness industry or someone you trust for training very specific questions that like are ambiguous, or sorry, they're not specific, they're super ambiguous. Like, how do I train my back or my chest for this or that? It's like, well, bro, like, or girl, I don't know what the fuck you do. Like, so I don't fucking know what to tell you. Like, all I can do is show you what I do movement wise, and hopefully it transfers to you. But it's just having this like, this dialogue, you create like a Q&A on like Instagram. It's like, it says, ask me a question. It should say, please don't ask me a dumb question. But it just says, ask me a question, so everything comes through, right? It's like, to think that you're gonna, like some guy asked me yesterday, I've had shoulder pain when I'm working out for the past 2 months. What should I do? What do you think? Like, really, that's not a question you need to ask. You know the answer to that. Go get it looked at, figure out why you have shoulder pain. Or if you don't want to do that, stop doing the stuff that hurts your shoulder. Or do it in a better way, right? Like, for you to need me to confirm that opinion, it's like it's a waste of time. It's a waste of a question. Where the fuck did I put it? Yeah, it's a waste of everyone's time, right? So it's like, don't ask open-ended questions like that. And then you ask for people, like someone asked me, and I'll talk about it later. What would you rather? Would you rather start your chest workout with a fly or a press? It's like, do whatever you want, dude. There's no book of rules that you need to follow. Like, oh, you start with a fly. This workout's a complete waste of time. You should never start with the press. Now your workout's fucked. Just go home, right? Like, do whatever you want. All it comes down to is connecting, guys and girls. Like, it's not about what exercise is best over this exercise and that exercise. Like, it's what you connect with, right? That goes all the way down to like dumbass deadlifting. If you are someone that connects well on deadlift, for some reason you have some type of kinetic connection to fucking the bar, picking it up, and it like stimulates muscle growth in your upper body, and it does all this stuff for you, or makes you feel like you're engaging multiple muscles because you can hyper isolate, then do it. But like, I don't do it, and I don't see any point in it unless I was going to get into deadlifting or powerlifting. So it's just like, people, like, there's so much information out there nowadays, but people are still so dumb because it's like you're overloaded with information that you literally, it's paralysis by analysis. Like, you get dumber. More information that's available to you, you don't know what to listen to. So you just literally get dumber. And you get more lost than you started. Like, because we could all go down a rabbit hole for anything we want and convince ourselves of something. And then there'll be another rabbit hole that'll say the complete opposite of that. And then there'll be a rabbit hole that has a combination of both of those ideas in it. And you'll be like, well, what do I do? It's like, just live your life and be happy. And do exercises and work out and enjoy yourself. Don't fucking, every time I come in the gym is like, make or break time. It's like, this is supposed to be somewhat enjoyable, guys. Like, I don't know. Be willing to argue with people, especially full range of motion guys. Not that I'm not a full range of motion guy, but I'd be willing to argue with them. And I've said this on Bro Chat as well, and I've said in other videos, like, the more muscular development you have, the more muscle you have on your frame, the less true full range of motion you need to hit a muscle. We've talked about that on chest, things like that. So, for example, when I'm doing this pull down, to everyone looking at me doing it, looks like I'm half pulling this thing. But like we've talked about before, I'm flared on my lat now. My elbow's in front of me. So you can see that my elbow is projected in front of me and my lat is open. It has to be open if my elbow's out here. My back has to almost be rounded. It's not like this, right? I'm here. So if I'm on my lat now and I'm holding with this like fingertip pressure at the bottom of the handle, I'm literally just dropping my elbow right down in to where my lat is. So as I arch slightly, as the weight comes in, I'm just basically squeezing my lat up into my tricep or into my elbow and letting it out. But my range of motion could be even less than I just did, and I'd be able to massage on that lat and rock without overstretching it or overreaching it, because I'm trying to hit into a certain area of my back. Same with chest, same with triceps, same with everything you can think of, right? So just understand, guys and girls who are watching these videos, and maybe you're experienced more and you have more muscle mass and you are a bodybuilder, or you are someone who's like got a decent development on them. You can shorten ranges and understand, like, because when I'm speaking about ranges in the layman's terms or in general, I'm speaking to like intermediate, like people who don't know what they're really doing, right? They're trying to give them a basis of information that's like, is like a starting point, and it's an evolutionary process. It doesn't stay here all the time. It's like I learned how to ride my bike with training wheels, and eventually I took them off. And now I can just ride my bike how I want to ride my bike, right? So the training wheels are always being reinforced because we're trying to get you on the right path, but you got to take them off, you know what I mean? So just don't think that this full range of motion shit is great and it's teaching people a lot of stuff. But even the guys you see doing a like overly full range of motion, like they're not developing at a rate that's like so insane that it's like you see like their argument making sense, right? Like it's just overemphasizing the range and the stretch just for the sake of the range of the stretch, just to show that I can do it. But you're also losing tension in that. If you can get a crazy range of motion and keep tension, good for you. But odds are, if you understand that crazy range of motion, you can shorten it and make it more effective and make it sit on the muscle more and rock back and forth, right? So, yeah, I was watching YouTube the other day. Decided to, something that my usual feed popped up onto my feed for some unknown reason, because I really can't fucking stand the person that popped up on it, but YouTube likes to torture me and give me content. So this particular video was a very nerdy individual making some going in depth about Sam Sulek's workout regimen, sets and rep schemes, dominant, what he trains the most, blah 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 blah. But the most outlandish thing about the video is that this person stated that they had watched all of this person's training videos. And if I'm not mistaken, which I could be, I believe Sam uploads every day, from what I understand. So, and also a sidebar, Sam looks 1000% better than this person does. And this person is not so much critiquing their physique, kind of just saying like, well, whatever he's doing is working for him. It's like, yeah, which is the exact opposite of what you do, dude. So what the fuck are you talking about? So you're critiquing or you're breaking down for some unknown reason, but you're basically disproving your stance on working out by showing that this guy does this, which is considered not science or whatever. You're basically showing in a comparison, like he's standing here with his shirt off, posing, looking like a pretty big monster for a 21-year-old kid. You're a fucking grown adult who is tiny and has no physique to speak of, and hangs his hat on how strong he is for his size. So what point were you trying to make there? That everyone, like everything can work at all times, but yet you preach science. This is the least scientific guy we know, apparently. And least form functional, apparently. And all this stuff, you're pointing all this out in the video, basically just debunking your own style. Or being like, oh, I'm inclusive and I can understand when things can just work for other people. Then shut the fuck up about your stuff. Never make a video again. Because we don't need that shit, right? It's like these guys hang their hat on this science shit and fucking ideal points of pressure, and this is like this exercise is great at this compared to that, and this is so much better for hitting this and that. And it's like, and you're all fucking wrong. Like, you may be right, textbook wise, yes, you're right, but you still don't work out well. I see you motherfuckers. I see you with my own eyes. You don't work out well. You have no idea what you're doing. Aside from like basic lifts of like powerlifting, which like, who gives a fuck when you're in bodybuilding? We don't care. No one cares. It's like, I don't give a shit about that, right? So it's like, it's funny, like you're jumping on this train so that you can get, the person doesn't even need views, they have views. You're jumping on this train of talking about this individual, one who's much younger than you, much less experienced than you, has a way better physique than you, has a way better following than you, will probably outlast you in terms of like duration of like impact or in the sport, and will literally like move on and become something that you could never become, which is probably a pro if he wants to, or at least get close to attaining it. And you're critiquing in a nice way because you guys are soft as fuck and you don't want to ruffle feathers and you, God forbid, you offend people. But the underlying theme is you're critiquing this guy and showing that he does everything basically wrong in your opinion, but it still kind of works for him. Meanwhile, like, I'm still the brainiac, right? It's like, no, you're a midget and you suck and your fucking content's garbage and no one should listen to you about anything, like, at all. And the people that watch people like that, guess what you are? The same. Right? And God forbid that Sam, who's very popular and very personable, seems like a nice guy and genuine, he's probably gonna pull some of your viewers away from you. Because everyone can read through your fake shit, right? This fucking corny, fake, nice shit. Put on a phony voice when I do videos, like, come on, man. It's hard for people to understand. So you teach people techniques on like a pole like this, where it's like I'm trying to understand, like, I'm putting weight into a pad. So all my body weight's in this pad. I'm pitched forward. I'm not leaning back. I'm pitched forward and my weight's in the pad. It's hard to see on video and it's hard to translate to people, especially when I say like snap your hand and break your elbow. So this is my definition of snapping my hand. So there's a jerk in my hand and there's a break on my elbow. So if I don't move my body, this is all I would do. Right? But with inertia and driving through my chest, when I snap and break, I roll. So I'm pressing my chest and rocking, but I don't even need to roll that much, because if I keep this elbow tucked in and my lat open, I drag into lat and I push lat out again. So I can feel my lat hanging and I can snap back into it whenever I want. So I don't need a massive range of motion. I don't need that. And a lot of back machines were more concerned about this extension, this maximum extension, and maybe 3/4 to halfway retraction. I don't need to get maximum retraction, because then I have to find this pressure again. I don't want to lose this pressure, so I don't want to pull so much that I come off. So I wouldn't want to pull this. I want to have my weight down, and I wouldn't want to pull this and go. Like, you see how that's fucking up the motion? I'm keeping the weight heavy here and I'm moving. And then the weight goes back into here, I reach, I slide. So the chest pad is important for that reason, like we've talked about 2 billion times. But it's like people that come and train with me, they've been watching my videos and like, oh, I tried to get it, I understand it, I think, blah, blah. And you still see them just like pulling, right? So that's kind of the aspect you're missing in terms of feeling like pressure. The pull becomes lighter as well, because you're putting so much pressure into your chest pad that you're displacing weight on the hand. So if I put a lot of pressure into here and then I hold on to something, it's a lot easier because I have leverage on that than if I was to sit up tall and I'm holding on to something and you're pulling me. I have nothing to push into to like counterbalance, right? So just want to make that point very clear. Yeah, it was just someone that I started training, probably training like 4 or 5 months now, but he came to me more from, he was training kind of like with kind of athletic trainers and stuff, and working like a lot of his movements were like, he was being taught were like explosive stuff, like very like, boom, and like curl and all this shit. So when he's coming to me, he's gotten used to like the tempo that I'm teaching him, or like how slow we need to, like where you can burst and where you shouldn't, and controlling weights. And his body is transforming in the sense that he's like really shaping up differently, like his look is differently because things are actually working, right? And it was just, he made the comment, like a lot of people make the comment to me, like, you know, like I'm not pushing this crazy weight, but I feel like these crazy pumps and this crazy connection, and I get so sore from doing the workouts I do with you, but it's like, it's nowhere near the weight I was pushing before. And this is a person who doesn't have much, not like coming at me with an ego of like, like they want to get this weight or whatever. It's just like they want to get in shape. So I kind of explained to him it's not, and we were doing a weight the other day. I'm like, that's the most weight you've done so far on this machine. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And it felt just like the weight prior, right? And he's like, yeah. I mean, like, it didn't feel like it was like that much of a difference. And I'm like, yeah, and that's how it should feel. And that's what people in bodybuilding and who lift weights, they fail to understand. It's not about always striving for more weight just for the sake of weight, like we've talked about. But it should be like the movement and the feel and the form should be so good, and you should be able to manipulate the weights that you use so well that additional poundages like go on and the effort level doesn't really go up. Like it does, but like the form and everything stays the same. So the idea is that we're trying to like, I want to know that I have like, if I'm going to pull 100 pounds here, I want to know that I can manipulate this 100 pounds or this 90 pounds. I can really connect with my back. I can really feel things. Before I'm like, all of a sudden I need to go to 130. So it may be a week or two before it's like, you might try to go up above 90 and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm not moving the way I should. So I'm gonna drop it back down to 90. That's not a failure. That's not like you not progressing. It's just that you have to understand and look at it as like, I'm putting this weight, these weights and my capabilities, they're stacking up like dividends. They're like accruing in the bank of like, I have all this behind me, so all this is full. I'm good, I know how to manage these weights. All these weights are attainable to me. All these things are like, I'm able to do them well. And as I'm slowly adding more stuff and putting it in the vault or putting it in the bank, I'm accruing more and more in my physique. So I'm able to do more. So when I sit down on machines and stuff like that, it's not that I necessarily need to remember my weights like these people will write weights down. Because it could be, the connection could be off that day. And it could mean you have to go back to a lower weight, or the connection might be great that day and you're like, oh, now this is the day I'm gonna push, right? Like, so the message is just don't think that in the gym, because you're not progressing at the strength curve, like I'm not going up, like strength isn't going up all the time, I'm not seeing these improvements, that improvement isn't happening. It's like, if your trainer has a good eye, or you have an eye yourself, you're like, I'm moving this weight a lot better than I ever have. And I can see like muscles firing. I feel more relaxed in the negative. I'm not panicking out of this. I'm not rushing, like I'm getting more reps, things like that. That's the stuff that matters in the end. It's not necessarily the poundage or how much weight I can pull, because that will just have to go up over time like we've talked about. It's gonna go up no matter what. It's 90 pounds or 200 pounds over there is not gonna elicit the same amount of connection as it did before. You're gonna need something else to stimulate, right? So if you combine like, not everyone has this machine, I understand that. Disclaimer, all the time. Fucking pops up on the screen. Sorry if your gym sucks. You know? But the idea of doing like two overheads, or this is an overhead, that's kind of like a horizontal, vertical almost. It's like two of these overhead pulls back to back. Is like, I'm understanding on this, these handles are opening up wide. So as I pull, they diverge by themselves. I don't have to open them. It's not my job to spread them apart. It's my job to just pull and let the angle of the machine work, right? So on this pull, it's more of, I'm not pulling down into me. I'm literally swinging shoulders. So my shoulders rock down and back, and I drive down into my hands on the same angle that the machine's moving. So it's kind of an opening and arcing and flexing down into mid-back into the same position I would be if I'm in a rear double. I'd be here, it's the same thing. I'm rocking into a rear double. That would be rear double, right? So it's the same thing when they go over to the Nautilus Pro, the same one we use pulling down. It's now I'm locking myself so that I'm not squeezing around my back and tucking into a pose. I'm not doing this anymore with my hands, my shoulders dropping and rocking. Now this is just rocking into lat. So my lat's being pulled up from underneath, and I'm setting here. So I wouldn't want to rock around on this machine, so I don't have that angle. But my arms are still in the same position they started there. I'm still leaning back. I'm just able to crack an elbow here deeper and drive straight up into lat here. So it's a straight pull into lats. I'm not too concerned about mid back or low back. I'm just trying to rock down into that low lat and slide my elbows right through. But they're still both the same visually to people watching. Like, oh, it's a pull down, it's a pull down. It's like, no, they're completely fucking different movements, and they're hitting completely different parts of your back, right? It's funny it's hilarious to me, like I don't know what you would call it. I guess it's like being neurotic, I guess, or something, or like OCD. It's like when these people get dieting and they think that, like, we've talked about this before, like every meal matters. Like even to the last meal, like before you step on stage. It's like, do you like understand how ridiculous that method of thinking is? Like, you could probably not eat that day and still look great on stage. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could carb up, you could eat some carbs, but like in general, the fact that people are thinking that these massive changes are happening from like a night show or a day show to a night show, or a next prejudging to final. If you think that it's like like it's really all food based, you're quite naive. Like, to put it nicely. I don't want to say what I really think, but like the fact that you think that like diuretics aren't coming into play, water manipulation isn't into play, like sodium loading isn't coming into play. It's just like, oh, I had a few more meals and I really filled up. It's like, or I need to have my fucking rice cakes backstage with my jam on it, or I'm not going to be full. My coach says I won't be full. It's like, oh. Don't think rice cakes so much. Think diazide more. You know, aldactone more. Yeah. Those are probably the ingredients you're thinking of. Fucking rice cake. Fans. They're everywhere. Alright. A guy did come up to me in my boxing gym the other day, and it's like, you expect people in like the fitness world to maybe you get recognized here and there, like people say hello to you because they watch your stuff. But I was at a boxing gym with like a dude, and his son was only like 8, or his son was like 12 or something.
Still.
But he was like, and he came in the change room when I was like getting ready to leave her. He's like, oh man, we watch your videos on TikTok all the time. And I'm like, I literally went, what? Like, first of all, why are you letting that 12-year-old watch me? That's fucking swearing all the time.
No question.
And then I was like, oh, it's cool, man. He's like, yeah, we subscribe to you on Instagram too. I was like, oh, it's cool. It's like unexpected, right? I had like people come up to me in the grocery store, like random dudes. This dude like followed me, like he was like down the aisle, like looking at me, and then I went to the next aisle and he like looked around again. I was like, oh fuck, what did I do to this guy?
Oh no.
Well, I automatically assumed the worst. Then he came up and he's like, are you Big Mike? Are you that guy on Instagram? I'm like, yeah, unless there's another guy that has these head tattoos and fucking ugly face. Yeah, I'm him.
Oh my god.
It's like, how is there mistaking who I could be? You know what I mean? You just have a W on your head? Oh, it's weird. So there's this other guy too, you know? Like, it's such a thing, right? It must be a thing as you get older. You just like, I used to pick weights up and be like, it's not heavy. Now every weight I pick up, I'm like, ooh. Like I take a plate off a machine, I'm like, Jesus, it's fucking heavy. Doesn't get better. What?
Did you even know?
What?
I just told you what.
What happened?
You when you do this arm, you hold this right here.
Yeah.
But then when you do this arm, you held right here.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter?
I think it's just, there's, like with my right side, and some people are probably the same, like, and I've had this with clients, certain angles aren't the same on both sides for people. So especially for me on my right side with my shoulder repair, I have a lot more, I almost have more mobility in this shoulder. I guard it a bit, but I almost have more mobility. So I feel better. I could be here if I wanted, but I feel better falling back a little more and staying over here more. So I can get a direct line down into my lat. Because if I feel like I'm too forward here, I feel like I'm too much front delt and I'm catching before I pull. So like I'm hitching, whereas here I can feel like I can rock down in. So I'm doing the same thing here. It's just that I can create more length here. You know what I mean? So I can create more length here. I could do the same here, but that feels like I'm leaning too much. This one feels like I can be closer and I can rock. So it's never the same necessarily, or even if you're here, it's never the same. It's just wherever your lean takes you that you can feel like, the idea is to like, I don't want my shoulder to be in tension. So I want to get my shoulder down and get in whatever position I can be in to lock this down so that I can just break into lat and swing. It's not leaning for the sake of leaning, so I'm not going like this and going pulling. It's just like creating that tension that I know I want to feel for different people for different things. That's why you guys should always play with your setups. Don't think that your setup is going to be the same as someone else's setup. That's why a lot of you guys and girls are fucking up a lot of shit you see on the internet. Because one, you're probably watching like highly developed people, hopefully in most cases, do exercises that like specifically they know where to pull and where to squeeze and how to set up and what angle, and you're not getting a 3D rendering of what they're doing while they're doing it. So if you shot me from here or you shot me from here, the angle of my head or the position of how far away it is from my body or whatever will be different. You can only see in the dimension you can see, so you can't see how the body's moving through the whole movement. But just understand, like, you need to find these, especially in these one arm positions and two arms, just like not both sides will not be the same. There'll be different hitches. Like I might want to, like on the left side, I feel like I can rotate more and keep my lat out, and on this right side, I'd want to come up more because I have an issue with like engaging that serratus and like keeping it locked because of my surgery. So I create more of a lean and more of a drag down in as a more of like than a coming up that I do on this side, right? So that's going to affect your development necessarily. It's like I'm still targeting the same muscles. I'm just setting up differently so I can hit it efficiently, right? So it's harder to do on two arm stuff because obviously if there's a weakness or an inability, you're going to compensate more on whatever side's stronger or whatever side's dominant. So that's why since I've always done it this way, but I more often than not do single arm stuff over double when it comes to doing like back work, especially lat work. Overall back work, I don't mind doing pulls with like machines like you see, double arm, all this stuff. But when it comes down to like, I'm just trying to hit my lat, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move into single arm stuff. Whether it's like cables, pulling the cable here, overhead shit on the other side. It's just like, that's always what I've been taught, and it's always what's worked for me is that I kind of work like the overall back with both arms, and when it's time to isolate, it's like we're going one arm with lat. Same with rear delts. I would much rather do a rear delt movement that's single arm. This is like, if I do spreading movements or I do cable pulls like this, it's more like to pump blood into the overall area. And then once the blood's in there, I want to rock on one arm stuff. I want to really force that muscle to work on its own, so I can't have other things assisting it. I'm not using momentum, too much momentum. I'm using more sync and pull and stuff like that.